iGinity is a proud sponsor of I Am Angus. For more information, visit iGinity.com.
I was born in Polk County, Iowa, same county as Des Moines, and I was there for till after 6 months out of high school. But from an early age, I always wanted to always work with show cattle, and I remember one of my first years in 4-H, why there was always a group of people in the county would go show at Chicago, the International. And I remember one year when I was maybe like 11 or 12, and my father took a steer in that I'd showed at the local fair, and in the process, I probably never really forgave him for not letting me go. At one time, there used to be what they called cattle cars. And they were open-sided. I mean, they had slats in the sides of the cars. There's also, a lot of them were double-deck cars. They could have 2 levels of calves, on the same car. And you virtually had more than a knee-deep straw in there in most cases. Well, in the short-legged cattle, I mean, they were partly nestled right into the box just by nature of being there. And you could put, probably the normal string with a few 2-year-olds on down to calves. You probably could put 15, 16 head on there, maybe a nurse cow or 2. And you'd have your sleeping bags and canvases and things like that. A lot of times you were busy getting the cattle on and things, getting ready to go, and then you think, oh shoot, I gotta go get some groceries. Well, around the railroad yards in those days, grocery stores, sometimes they were very poor. Somebody would load up on, bologna and cheese sandwiches. It'd be very common. These little wieners that they come in little cans, they were very popular. When you traveled by train, we were at shows for 7-8 days. You sat around, you visited on the show boxes, you told stories. Some of them played poker, some of them played cards, some of them just plain sat around the boxes, told stories, some of them drank heavier than they should. But anybody that traveled on a railroad car, your living conditions is better to wherever you was going than what the railroad car was. But you took it as part of being a necessary evil. And Chicago was always windy and raining a lot of times, snow some, and it was always nasty conditions. I'll just say it that way. The thing that made Chicago great, it had been the traditional final show of the year in most people's minds, and everybody that was anybody was there. And there was large crowds. They'd be 5-6 deep around the ringside, as well as filling up the stands. New York Times might have the Grand Champion steer on the front of it. If the early days of TV, they'd be there. It would be national news. And I bet if you go back in the old Angus journals, and they would make a write-up on a summer yearling heifer class. And it didn't make a difference, the Drover's Journal, the Angus Journal, any other livestock paper. They'd make a description on each place, maybe down through maybe 10 places about each animal. And you take this little old breeder out in central Iowa, that stood fifth in a class in Chicago. Now he nearly walked on water locally. When the show's over for Chicago, that was the end of the line for most people, because they were ready to go home. It was wintertime, and they'd been away from the people that showed a lot. They'd been away from home pretty much for the last 2 months, and they were ready to get back home. And funny thing about cattle is this: on a railroad car that traveled it all the time, cattle loved to get off the railroad car. They'd jump and play and romp. But the same thing, they knew when they was headed for the railroad car, they was making a different path and threw the tie out. They'd jump and run and play until they got on the car. They actually got to where they liked being on the railroad car. Every show, you never earn a position in it. You have to earn it on that day. And you have great days and you have days that are not so good. You gotta be able to roll with the ups and the downs. You can't, you don't earn a position, but you can go into it thinking that you can make a difference, make somebody happy. I enjoyed a lot of success, but people that were recognized leaders in the business. I enjoyed the idea that I filled a lot of, half a dozen breeders' ribbons and trophies, filled up the big room for them. And of course, very few of them are alive yet today. But I guess that's always a problem of getting old.